to wipe out about a third of his army, actually, in most of those cases.
Yep. So now StarCraft 2 strategy is sending out Kavika Akita. He's Hawaiian, a 22-year-old college student, and he became a gamer after he blew out his arm playing baseball in Washington. So he started his StarCraft career in the beta of Wings of Liberty, and then didn't purchase the game until the start of Season 2. Was able to achieve Grandmaster in his first season of playing, and he attributes that to watching a lot of Husky and HD StarCraft. Offers coaching services. You can find him at imbacoaching.com, and he streams at Twitch TV/IMBA Coaching. You can follow him at Twitter at Kavika, or Kawika. I'll post that in chat.
Good idea.
At any rate, he's got Facebook and Instagram. I am Imba Coaching on Facebook, and at Kavika and Instagram as well. That is in chat if you'd like to follow him and maybe hit him up for some of that coaching. So we will see how he's able to do. This is going to be a point match, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. It looks like, actually, I think I got these scores screwed up here. It is StarCraft 2 strategy has 4 wins to Eternal Dreamers 3, so it is an ace match again, as Eternal Dreamers came back from a 4-2 deficit to make it 4-3. Now they have to win another one to keep this series going, otherwise StarCraft 2 strategy is going to wrap it up with one more win. Which way is it going to go? We've got Eternal Dreamers Weightless against StarCraft 2 strategy. Kawika Akita. Kavika Akita.
This is I think we promised a code, though.
Ah, yes, the code.
Yes.
SC2CTL.com/code. If you are registered on there and enter the following code the Gallegation is going to give you, you could win an amazing prize.
Let me remember what it is.
It is, the first code was Jungle Gym.
I remembered that one.
And the second code was Kickball.
Kickball, that's it.
All one word, lowercase.
I'll put that in chat. Again, because our prize this evening, or for this week, is somewhat elementary school and playground reminiscent, we decided to go with playground code words. And if you were like me, then you had a lot of fun playing kickball when you were around that age.
So this is going to be game number 8. We welcome you to the stream tonight. This is StarCraft 2 Community Team League. Week number 5 games. This game actually, this match was played about 2 days ago, as I'm seeing from one of the participants in chat. So this is a very recent series. Was highly touted by both teams and the league, so it's been pretty good so far. Very close.
Absolutely.
A lot of games that could have gone either way. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules this evening to join us. You can follow us at WingNetSC, at Gallegation, and at SC2CTL on Twitter. We'll be casting matches here Tuesday and Thursdays through the end of the league, which is quite a while now. We're in pool stage 2. Bracket stage will be coming up in, what, 2 weeks?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yep, so lots more matches to come, so check it out as we go into game number 8 and see if Weightless can take it back for Eternal Dreamers against Kavika Akita.
Game resumed.
And in the lower right-hand corner, we've got said Weightless from Eternal Dreamers. Since I gave it away already, his name is Weightless.
And in the top left corner, coming out for StarCraft 2 strategy, seeing if he can tie up this match in this game, it is Kavika Akita.
Kavika Akita saying he got called into this battle mid-poo.
Oh, man.
So is that an advantage or disadvantage, having recently...
I'm sure that he must be a little bit ruffled having to pinch it off.
Yes, as Weightless is letting him know that he's free to make himself an uncomfortable seat. This is the nice thing about this league, as it is a community-based league. That was the theory behind it, as the creator saw some potential and something missing from the arena, as most of these teams are very friendly with each other. Nice clan wars you have going on. Everyone enjoys the matches. Everyone has fun. So that's awesome.
That is correct. For those of you who are wondering at the pronunciation of Kavika Akita, it does look like Kawika Akira, but I have been instructed by the team that as it is a Hawaiian name, it is pronounced Kawika Akita.
I'm just gonna go with the red guy.
So, Weightless decided to take a expansion at his natural prior to his pool, and Kavika is doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, do take this opportunity while we have a lull in the openings of this game to share this around with your friends, coworkers, teammates, partners, wives, siblings, children, anyone, to let them know about the SC2CTL and its awesomeness, and come and join us for this cast.
Pool is now going down for both players and gas behind it. Or I guess it was Kavika put his gas down before his pool.
Yep, slightly faster gas timing. Actually, the gases are about the same. So both players going to be putting 3 right away in gas, it looks like. So quick speed going to be coming. The question is, do we see a third base right away from anyone, or are we going to see some early Zerglings with speed?
You know, I would imagine that they're going to get speed first.
It takes a lot of APM to carry on quite this in-depth conversation while also trying to play StarCraft. I do love the sharks here that are just kind of floating in the sky. There's bubbles actually coming off of them.
Oh yeah. Are they sharks or are they whales?
Looks like a shark to me.
Oh yeah.
Double queen coming out from both players. So looking to get the larva and the creep spread going. The first Zerg games of today so far, both players focused on heavy creep spread, while in the last couple of games creep has been not an important factor to them as they've kept it back. But
well, the thing about creep is that it benefits all the Zerg players, so you definitely want to be careful of that, although it does give you some great vision. Typically, you want to keep your bases creeped together so that you can get those slower units where they need to go.
Baneling Nest going down for Weightless, as that's going to be our first DV. Actually, I take that back. Baneling Nest now going down for Kavika as well. So both players getting speed. Kavika is just slightly behind Weightless. Both players making drones and the Baneling Nest. So the big difference is that we've seen a creep tumor come down. So there's that, and roaches now for Weightless. So looks like it's going to be Zerglings and roaches to open with some smattering of Banelings. Zerglings of Weightless try and poke in to see what's up. He's going to see the Baneling Nest as the Zerglings and Queen of Kavika push him away.
And both players doing a pretty good job of keeping vision on the other. They've got Overlords positioned in fairly good spots. Weightless does have those 2 lings that he's running around trying to get an idea of what's going where. His speed did finish a little bit sooner than Kavika's, so he's going to try and take advantage of that, but speed is now finishing up for Kavika. So
as Weightless gets in there with those 2 lings, he's going to see all the tech of his opponent, even the Baneling Nest out front. Spore Crawler coming to fortify this base. Double gas going down at the natural. Weightless has not gotten as much gas. Now one just finishing up in his main, hasn't put drones in it yet. Making sure he gets that inject down now. Probably going to fill his geyser with the drones. Or just make a lot of roaches. You never know. This is just an emergency geyser.
8 roaches finishing up, Baneling in production. It looks like he's going to get ready for some aggression with these units popping out. Third base going down for Kavika.
So Weightless going for some units here, where Kavika is going for less units, more economy. 12 Zerglings are coming out, not a huge investment. Roach Warren just starting for Kavika as well, so still fairly similar builds from both players. Defensive Baneling here coming down to prevent any Zergling run-bys. Expecting probably Weightless is going to take a base here pretty soon, as he's got quite a number of roaches, lings, and banelings here. Looks like he's going to push out, and at the same time as Kavika, he's going to see it though with these 2 oh, he's not, as he pulls those banelings and zerglings back, but nope, now he does see the roaches coming through the middle of the map, so he's going to know there's some incoming threat, as he has 10 zerglings about to finish, starts 4 more roaches, so he's going to have a good number of units back here to defend this. Also, Weightless +1 armor finish just in time as well.
Yep, this is definitely a timing. Oh, that's not a timing push, it's a timing defense, it seems like. But those roaches are moving forward, and Weightless is going to try and do some big damage here. 1 Baneling produced by Kavika, and here's the engagement. The Lings are running around and pulling away just as those Banelings come up. The Roaches trying to intervene, and decent, not really that great of connections there. The Roaches are getting cleaned up, and now the Banelings are coming in.
Oh, the Banelings get into the drone line.
Oh, that's pretty decent damage there, and goodness, those drones are being pulled. They've got to deal with those Roaches. Weightless is really pushing forward here, and what does Kavika do? I mean, there's Roaches here, there's Roaches there, there's Zerglings, and more Roaches are popping out for Kavika, and he's able to push these Roaches of Weightless back a little bit, but he's going to go straight for that third base. Yeah. And Weightless able to do a lot of damage with this push. It doesn't look like it's going to end the game, and deciding to pull back with his Lings that were coming forward to reinforce.
I thought Weightless would try and get those Roaches out of there, but it looks like he just ends up sacrificing them, and generally does make 9 more. But that was quite the push for Weightless. If we look at the units lost, it's pretty darn even at 2,800 apiece. Even almost the same exact number of units lost. I bet you if we look at this here overlay, we see that both players
Weightless is moving some Lings into the third base. There are Lings of Kavika there to engage them. Banelings moving forward, and not great connections. Not what Kavika wanted there. Roach is moving back in to deal with it, and Weightless isn't going to be able to get a lot of damage done.
If you look at the units, Weightless does have 12 Zerglings, whereas Kavika has none. So he's able to do a little bit more poking, a little bit more run-bys to keep his opponent at bay. But also notable, Weightless has not taken a third base yet, as Kavika has his up. But he's trying to really put the hurt on that, but the Roaches are going to be there to thwart the Zerglings away. So for now, it's going to be all right. But Kavika's got to get some good defense up here pretty quick.
Yeah, he's got to play very carefully. Roaches and Lings coming together at the front, moving forward. There's only one Baneling there, so he's got to be very careful with it. And it gets a decent connection off. Now there's only Roaches and a few Lings, but there's just a ton of Roaches from Weightless, ton of Lings. This is really a sticky situation for Kavika. And Roaches, he's positioning his Roaches in a great position, but Weightless is just able to get a good concave on him. And Zerglings are just picking things off as it gets popped. I'm not sure how Kavika's going to be able to hold this off.
Yeah, if you really look at it, it's just Roach versus Roach, and the numbers are fairly even. So, I mean, even though this looks really bad for Kavika, they're trading fairly evenly. I mean, Weightless does keep reinforcing, but obviously Kavika has the better reinforcement path as a bunch more Roaches do come in. But it looks like Kavika is going to lose this base. He's just going to sacrifice it to hold on. But, you know, in the grand scheme of things, he doesn't really know it, but that's just going to put them on an even footing.
And there's not really much that he could do about that. There's just so many units from Weightless that he couldn't defend it. So he's going to try and just get units made, get them rallied together so that he has hope of pushing this push back without losing his natural or even the game. Yeah. So the Lings are moving in, trying to surround those Roaches. He's microing them back. Queen's moving in, trying to do some damage. And the Roaches just keep pushing forward, trying to clean up the Roaches of Kavika. More coming down the ramp to resupply. The drones are being pulled again. Roaches coming down the ramp, forcing Weightless back a little bit. Zerglings are coming around, trying to get a little bit of a surround, but there's just not enough to do that.
A lot of low health Roaches there from Weightless, so I mean, Kavika is going to be able to push this back with these Roaches that he has, and he's swarming a lot more in production as Weightless's production has tapered off. Kavika is still going at 5 Roaches in production now, pushing him back halfway across the map, so this aggression is going to end now from Weightless, and both players are going to have to find a way out of it.
Whew. That was tense.
If we look at the units lost, though, I mean, the trades were fairly even again. Kavika has only lost about 700-ish more resources than his opponent, and yes, he lost the third base, but his opponent didn't even have one yet. So on the table, you know, we still see a fairly even playing field. I mean, Weightless does have these Lings still. He is going to keep poking up in here and see that the third base is going down, but there are lots of Roaches here this time. A couple Banelings. It only takes one good connection to kill every single one of those Zerglings, so Weightless is going to have to pull back.
That's right, and we still don't see a third base coming out of Weightless yet. He's just really trying to end this game with this early aggression.
Weightless does have his lair going down, though, which is about to finish, so he's going to go into a different tech path as that comes up. Roaches of Kavika moving through the middle of the map. Zerglings did see them, so Weightless is going to know what's coming. Kavika could do some damage here if he decides to go on and push through. Looks like he's going to try and come up and maybe take these rocks out here and open up a new path for him, but Weightless is well defended in the front with several spine crawlers, lots of roaches, lots of zerglings, so Kavika maybe just pushing out a bit to let Weightless know that he is there, and you have to be prepared for me to give himself some time to macro up again back at home.
It looks like he was maybe scouting out to see if there was more expanding of creep, or maybe the lookings of a third base, but he didn't really see a whole lot.
Weightless does have really good vision throughout the map, as he does have these overlords through the middle and one on the left side scouting the third base of Kavika. So
Zergling Strike Force coming in the top. There is a spine crawler there, but it is going to get picked off before doing too much damage. Roaches are continuing to move forward. There's not really a lot here. They're going to get another queen killed, another roach killed, and they're going to do more economic damage. The queen does pop. Roaches are invading in the front of Weightless's base. There are just so many roaches for Weightless, though, and Kavika is taking big damage by the spine crawlers, by the roaches, and he is going to lose every one of these if he doesn't get him out of there. Does take down a spine crawler and gets him out, but took heavy losses there.
Difference for Kavika, though, is he has 1/1 upgrades on his roaches, and Weightless has no upgrades, so Kavika's roaches are going to be much more efficient in these roach versus roach battles than Weightless is, and that could start to turn things around here, as Weightless still hasn't taken a third base, and now Kavika has his up and is starting to mine from it.
Weightless did just have a Spire finish, but we do not see any mutas in production just yet. Meanwhile, Kavika is trying to increase his upgrade lead by getting his plus missile attack 2.
Weightless is able to push Kavika back again with large superior numbers of roaches, but Kavika does keep reinforcing. Both players continuing to make roaches. Now Weightless just starting to make a handful of mutas. Looks like 5 are in production. So is that going to be a turning factor? Kavika does not know about the mutas yet, as looking at his bases, he does not have any spore crawlers, so if Weightless can get those out in a surprise fashion, that could be a determining factor here for a while, but it looks like Kavika going to continue to push in again and be pushed back again by the roaches, as this position's quite well defended.
Yeah, he does have the upgrade advantage, but you know the positioning on the top of that ramp is just so good for Weightless that while he's able to kill some roaches, he is taking heavy losses himself. Kavika now running across the outside, trying to get some positioning on these roaches, and he's actually going to be able to catch some of these off guard here.
Yeah, coming across from the side, definitely, and sending roaches in the front, definitely going to catch these spine crawlers.
And this is a great flanking position for Kavika. Weightless is taking heavy damage again with the upgrade advantage that Kavika has. He's going to take huge damage here. Mutas have come out and are trying to do what damage they can, but roaches take a lot of shots before they go down. And now Weightless is on the back foot to Kavika's aggression.
Kavika pumping out more roaches, more zerglings as he continues to push up in here. These gaggle of mutas here are going to continue to poke away at these roaches, but the damage is not going to be high enough to prevent them from getting in and doing a lot of economic damage to Weightless. But more roaches pop for Weightless, so this is going to eventually be thwarted here as his roach numbers climb again and the mutas clean it up. But, you know, Weightless still on 2 bases. Any economic damage is a big deal, so...
And Kavika's happy to lose those roaches at this point. They've done so much damage. He is moving in with a few... He's just trickling units across the map, reinforcing it, trying to do as much damage here as he can. He does have a Hydralisk Den going down, and 3 spore crawlers are in production, so they are going to be able to deal with those mutas. And Kavika's satisfied with the damage that he's done, so he's pulling his units back across the map, but they are being chased down by a large force of mutas and a handful of lings. So he's going to have something available to deal with these mutas.
Yeah, really, that was a really good play, because that push by Kavika really cleared out the ground forces of Weightless. So now Weightless is left with largely only these mutas, and Kavika has a large number of hydras that are about to pop, as well as spore crawlers at every base, so these mutas are not going to be very effective for Weightless right now.
No, they are not. It looks like he's getting 2 groups going, one that he's going to try and do some economic damage with, and the other he's going to try and clean up some overlords sparsed across the map.
Does try and get that queen, but loses a couple mutas in the process, trying to poke away at a couple drones. There is a decent number of hydras on the field now, so the mutas are going to have to pull back and do some overlord damage. This is going to limit the vision of Kavika now, as Kavika's overlords are being sniped away from the map. Only 1 remaining here, scouting through the main base of Weightless. But Kavika not satisfied with that, going to send a group of Zerglings down to scout out bases, primarily seeing there is no 4th base and that the 3rd is only just going down. So he's going to feel like he's in a pretty good position right now.
He is getting more Hydralisks, but at the same time, Weightless is getting Lings and Baneling speed, so there are going to be things to deal with them if he can get the connections to go his way. Mutas and Zerglings are streaming across the map, so it looks like Weightless is going to try and put on some aggression here. But there are Roach, Hydra, Ling ready to engage this army as it comes forward.
Kavika positioning his forces, prepared for what's coming. He doesn't have the vision he would really like, but he has a hunch and sneaking suspicion that these units are going to be coming. Nice concave on these mutas, so the glaives are not going to do as much damage as he would hope, forcing the mutas back. The Lings spread out so nice to soak up the damage from those
using that
as well.
patrol move on the Lings to absorb those. Banelings moving forward, getting some hits, but again, the upgrade advantage. Those Hydralisks are taking a couple of Baneling hits to go down, so he's not getting as many as he would like, but that Ling number is just so huge for Weightless, and now he's completely surrounding this army. Mutas are standing right above it, the Glaives are getting huge damage down, the Hydras aren't able to do the damage that they would like to the Mutas, and Kavika defending again.
26 Zerglings in production for Kavika, though, so if he can hold this off, he's going to have a huge swing force to go back and do some more damage to Weightless, as he still has not put up a third base, so this is a very low econ game for both these players. The Spore Crawler's still back in the bases of Kavika, so even though these Mutas have pushed back the army of Kavika, they are not able to get into the bases to do a ton of economic damage to him.
And the problem with resupplying with these Lings here, though, is that those Mutas are still there, and he's not going to be able to do anything to the Mutas with just those Lings. He's got to hope that the Mutas are walking within the range of the Spore Crawlers. He's only attacking within there, and now huge numbers of Banelings for Weightless. Great connections there at the top of the ramp, going in and doing huge economic damage at the third base. And Roaches are moving forward, trying to deal with the remaining Banelings, but getting chased around by Mutas. And Lings trying to pick off just whatever they can find. Kavika spread very thin, and Weightless really just putting a wedge in the supply line, or the resupply line of Kavika here. So he's having a really hard time getting his units together. Those Mutas continue to do big damages. There's not a lot that shoots up. Weightless doing a really good job of targeting down the Hydralisks before they're able to get into big numbers to deal with the Mutas.
And these small groups of units from Kavika are just not able to mount that big of a defense, like you were saying. As great idea and positioning by Weightless to keep them in the center here, as he's only catching 1 to 2 Hydras at a time, and as he's able to clean those up, Kavika just can't get anything together to deal with those. But on the other hand, he still can't really push in to do a lot of damage to his economy.
And we are 26 minutes into this game, and the food is only 54 to 69. Kavika only has 22 drones on the map. Weightless now taking an economic lead, has 43 drones, getting that third base finally.
And if we look at the map, the main is mined out for Weightless. The natural is near mined out for Weightless. So this third he's remote mining from now is going to be his only income soon, while Kavika has his main almost mined out, but there's still a decent amount left at his natural and a good amount left at his third. So Kavika is going to be on a superior economic footing here very soon. And so this has been a real interesting low econ game, though, because I don't think we've been over 100 food, and if we have, only for a very short period of time.
Yeah, very slightly. Muta's going in, trying to snipe at gas. Hydra's coming forward, trying to deal with it. They get a few shots off, but they're not going to be able to claim a kill.
Nice juke there by Weightless as he jukes out the Hydras of Kavika to end up taking out.
And in the meantime, there's Lings at the third base of Kavika again, dealing big drone damage. And Kavika's got to be really feeling the pressure here. He's just on... There's just so much pressure at the front. I mean, he's not able to get the economy going that he needs to get to be able to support this, but he's had amazing defenses. Now Weightless's Mutas are taking down the rocks to open up another attack path at that natural.
Even though we see that Kavika has a better base situation, Weightless has a better economy just because he has double the drones of Kavika. Kavika is down to only 22 drones.
That's right. Kavika moving forward with some Roaches and Hydras, going to see if he can do some damage. He is going to be able to spot these 3 Overlords sitting in the middle of the map, and that is going to hurt a little bit, but, you know, Weightless is so far under his food cap that it's not going to make too big a difference at this point.
The Mutas here are trying to find a good position to engage this army, but none be found, so he will be pulling back as Weightless is getting his units together to deal with this incoming push. The Mutas come in to take a few shots at the Roaches as they're getting ahead of the Hydras, as that Overlord distracting them, gets a couple shots, kills in, but nothing to really thwart this off. There is a large number of mutas, few zerglings, and a handful of banelings waiting at that third base, but looks like Kavika is going to decide to pull back here.
And Weightless decides to pull back, taking some damage from those Hydras. And, you know, we haven't seen a tech switch in a really long time here, and it's because these players have been so aggressive that they've both had to do nothing but make units.
It's also because they can't afford it. We're 30 minutes into the game, and we have a grand total of about 60 drones between the two of them.
That's right.
There's been so much aggression back and forth, they've had to continue making units instead of making drones, and as the bases have been continually under pressure, there's just no development able to really come to fruition here.
Weightless being so careful with the positioning of those mutas. He's got 17 there now. They are going to be able to take down those rocks. Did try to get a few shots off on that Baneling nest, but not able to take it down. Kavika is struggling to get his Hydralisks in the right position.
So this is the entirety of Weightless's economy right here, as he has that base heavily oversaturated at 35 drones mining on it. He needs to get another one, but you know, he really should be getting another one now, as Kavika is really held back by these mutas running around. He doesn't have a good response.
And sure enough, Weightless is putting down a fourth base in the lower left-hand corner, and Kavika is really effectively only on one base right now.
Yeah, Kavika, though, putting down a base as well, as he has these Hydras out here to defend it, but the Mute is moving into his only mining base at the moment. All there is left is Roaches. The Hydra's going to be coming back, trying to catch these Mutas out of position. I don't even think he killed one in that. But
no, I don't think so.
The Mute is just so mobile, so fast with the upgrade in Heart of the Swarm that they're just able to get around very well, and Kavika really has to stay by this fourth base if he wants to be able to get it up. But catching a few of the Mutas out of position, kills one, looks like, but the Mute is able to pull back and continue roaming around to keep Kavika busy.
And Kavika did lose some Overlords in that last engagement at his third base, and so that put him further or closer to his supply cap. Mute is now moving into the fourth base. Kavika has to keep this alive. Hydra's moving in to engage with those mutas. Now we're seeing 24 mutas here.
Yeah, both players been spending a lot of their money on so many army units as the economy is so low. Just now over 100 food. And really we've been over 100 food now for a few minutes, but haven't really gone much farther than that, as the mutas come back in and try and snipe one drone there at the fourth base of Kavika, but can't really do much as those Hydras are hanging back real close.
There is a Ling and Baneling army in the center of the map. It looks like there was a little bit of a meet and greet between the two armies, but they decided to pull back. Mutas move in a little bit, and the Lings are moving forward, trying to grab those Hydras, and Baneling's moving in. Huge connections. Hydra's taking huge amounts of damage, but there's so many Hydras that Weightless really can't afford, and great transfuse on that hatchery, keeping it alive.
Great transfuse, and you could feel the wheels turning in Weightless's mind, trying to decide in a half a second there whether he wants to go in and try and snipe that hatch off and sacrifice a bunch of mutas. He decides to try, but the transfuse comes down to save it, and the Hydras are there, and he decides that it's more important to keep his mutas around, which is probably the right decision, because that's his entire army at this point.
Absolutely the right decision. Again, Mute is moving forward.
So I wonder at this point if Weightless would be well served to split his mutas into a couple of groups here, as he loses a couple to those Hydras out of position, you know, and have one group attack the third base of Kavika, while another group just kind of pokes around to keep the army in a certain lockdown position. But keeping them all together, 6 of one, half does the other, it seems like. But Kavika moving out now, he has no choice but to keep them together, as he has to defend this. He doesn't have many units at home, a few Banelings in production, a few more mutas, but Kavika going to keep pushing this back, as this is going to be quite the tough engagement for Weightless, as he's got a handful of Zerglings here and Banelings, but that's the entirety of his army.
But Kavika may be misreading this information and deciding to pull back. Although those Lings and Banelings down probably would have done a lot of damage. I think that he's feeling like he's getting back on his feet, and he doesn't really want to lose that by having a bad engagement.
Kavika's still only at 22 drones to the 40 of Weightless, so neither player has made any drones in a very, very long time.
And great movement from Weightless. His mutas around the map, able to spot this strike force of Lings, able to clean it up before it does too much damage. He is going to lose a few drones there. But the mutas are ready to take care of that. But, oh my goodness, Kavika's moving into the third base, and Weightless doesn't have anything there to deal with it. He's not moving his Lings in, waiting for the mutas to come forward, and now everything's engaging. And the Hydras trying to reposition, get behind. The Mutas are moving forward, trying to target down the Hydras as those are the threat to them. Roach is focusing down the hatchery. He is going to lose that hatch. Baneling's rolling in, trying to get around the Roaches. There are no Hydras left, though, so these Roaches are left to fend for themselves, and they're going to need to get out of there if they want to survive.
Problem here for Weightless is he has 0 economy right now, except for these handful of drones here. So even if Kavika loses these Roaches, he still has well set up defenses at home to deal with these Mutas, as long as he can see putting down a large number of Spore Crawlers, knowing that that's going to be his best defense against those Mutas with a handful of Hydras.
That's absolutely true.
Really,
and, I mean, the drone count now is 23 drones for Kavika and 9 drones for Weightless. This is a very slim game. Zergling's moving in, trying to take down some of these Spore Crawlers. There's just so many, though. Those Mutas are taking huge hits. Really, he needs to get that base down, though, and he does, but he takes a lot of damage in the process.
Yeah, those Mutas just take so much damage from the Spore Crawlers, well positioned from Kavika, but now he still has 1 base that's mining here, but it's running low. So this game has just been crazy, back and forth. Absolutely.
And Kavika has more Lings moving across the map, killing drones that we afford to lose here. Down to 3 drones, 2 drones now for 1 drone for Weightless.
Yeah, and Weightless has no minerals on the bank. He only has 35 minerals and 270 gas, so all he has left basically at this point are these Mutas.
And that hero drone is mining gas, so he's not going to get the minerals that he needs anytime soon.
I think at this point he doesn't really care about that. He knows that he has to do something with these Mutas or the game is going to go to Kavika, and he knows how important this game is, that his team is down to the ace match, but so many Spore Crawlers around this third base of Kavika. Kavika at this point just basically not going to care about any other bases, knowing that he can defend the third base against these Mutas and knowing that he's taken out and done so much damage to Weightless.
Absolutely, and you know, with only 1 drone and not even mining minerals, Weightless can't really come back from this. And sure enough, Weightless has Queens now accompanying the Mutas, going to try and do whatever he can to deal with these Spine Crawlers, or Spore Crawlers rather. The Hydras are there to engage with those Queens, and he wants to save as much of that energy as he's able to. Muta's moving up to the front, going to try and pick off whatever he can, try and stop as much production as possible.
Yeah, the production at this point just doesn't matter, as Kavika is sending down more Zerglings to start poking away at the infrastructure of Weightless, knowing that Weightless is left with only these Mutas. A couple of Queens for Weightless up with the Mutas as well, trying to do some damage and keep the Mutas alive against those Spore Crawlers. But with Kavika able to defend this third base, is going to be almost impossible to break for Mutas with. How many we have here? 6 Spore Crawlers.
Now Weightless does split his Muta army in half, sending some to deal with the Ling strike force that's cleaning up the infrastructure of Weightless. And both players just trying to deal whatever damage that they're able to deal here.
Yeah, we're at the 40-minute mark in this game. This has been the longest low economy, high aggression game I have seen in a long time.
Absolutely. This is, I mean, it's been very tense. A misstep from either player really cost the game at this point.
I mean, really, it's just one misstep by either player turns it to the direction of the other, and at this point, it's going Kavika's way because of the situation that this third base is in. You know, when he sent all those ground units in, it seemed like he was sacking him, but he was trading ground units for ground units, knowing now with the massive damage that Spore Crawler do to Mutas, if he could leave Weightless with only Mutas, he just would not be able to break him.
Kavika now sending the majority of his drones to remote mine from a base in the top right of the map.
Mass transfuses on these 2 Queens as the Lings come in. It takes the Lings a really long time to take those Queens down. Nice transfuses, but alas, it can only last so long. Kavika now remote mining this upper right-hand expansion as the Mutas keep trundling their way across the map, trying to find anything that they can do damage to. Now Kavika having a significant Hydra number on the map as he's slowly been able to get some...
but those Mutas are going to go straight into those drone lines and kill the majority of those drones. And this is not good news for Kavika. Down to 9 drones. He's going to get 4 more kills right here. So down to 5 drones for Kavika.
Yeah. And Weightless actually has 0 drones now, as every single drone has been taken. We've got no production from either player at this point. So this tab is now useless, as there's a large number of Lings from Kavika running around the map trying to see what they can find. The mutas are still being quite active, as Kavika is now spreading out some spore crawlers to try and limit the movement of those surrounding his hatchery with those hydras.
Where's that spore crawler going? Trying to reposition, I guess. I'm not sure why he wants it at the top of that ramp, but very much does want it there. But these hydras are just in huge numbers. Those mutas are taking big shots. There's only 13 remaining.
Yeah, I'd say this was the beginning of the end for Weightless, but it's been the end, it looks like, for quite a while, as he's had no production. And when you're left with only mutas, an army of hydras and spore crawlers is not your best friend.
Not at all. He's got to play super carefully if he wants to do anything with this. And now he's smartly gathering his overlords together. Those are going to try and soak up some of the damage from those hydralisks while the mutas do the damage.
Gosh, though, Weightless has done such a good job of keeping himself in this game. Kavika
Absolutely.
was pinned back for so long, and Weightless was able to put so much pressure on him, but Weightless was just not able to expand in that mid-game and set him up to have this army that is not ideal in this situation. But Kavika now just trying to get in the best position to try and catch these mutas out, keeps baiting them back, and now it's going to be the seal deal, and GG by Weightless.
Wow.
Oh my gosh,
my goodness.
most stressful game ever.
Yeah, I think Weightless had a really good idea there by pulling his overlords together and trying to engage with them, but I think Kavika saw it coming and decided not to take the bait. So while Weightless is trying to move or bait the hydras back, Kavika at the same time is baiting the hydras forward, and the hydras end up winning that fight.
Yeah, with that speed buff and the hydras off creep, I mean, it's just so easy to micro those mutas away from the overlords if that's in fact his choice. But that was an insane game. I mean, what was the, if you look back at that, what was the turning point for you?
Oh my gosh, I mean, there were turning points all over the place. You know, I mean, you see at the beginning of the game, Weightless is pushing in. He's got Kavika on his back foot. And, you know, I thought the game was over then. But Kavika has this just amazing defense, amazing save, pulling drones, pulling everything, trying to defend, and is able to do it. And then he pushes forward, and then Weightless is on the back foot. And then Weightless has an amazing defense. And then it goes back and forth and back and forth. I mean, under 100 food for the majority of that game. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly the way. I mean, that was a 45-minute game, and it seemed like a 15-minute game to me. There was so much action, there was no time to just sit back and watch what's going on. But it was interesting because it was such divergent unit compositions from both players.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
so that will wrap it up for this match. It is StarCraft 2 Strategy will be the victor over Eternal Dreamers. Great games by both players. This could have easily, as we see through these matches, it could have easily gone the other direction in any one of these games. It could be 5-3 for Eternal Dreamers just as easily as it is for StarCraft 2 Strategy, but alas, it comes down to what the final score actually is, so that is going to bring the win for StarCraft 2 Strategy.